Hey everybody, today I am on the beautiful Butler University campus in a really popular, pretty famous neighborhood in Indianapolis called Butler Tarkington. So we're gonna take a little tour, not just of Butler University, but of Butler Tarkington, see what it's like to live here, see what the homes look like, and just give you a general idea as to what this place really looks like. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group, and if you want to know everything there is to know about living in Indianapolis, what it's like in all of the neighborhoods in Indianapolis or the suburbs and neighborhoods kind of like this one right here, this Butler Tarkington neighborhood, then be sure that you hit the subscribe button, tap the little bell so you're notified every single time we do a new video each and every week. Now we get reach outs from people all over the country and all over the Indy Metro with questions about neighborhoods like Butler Tarkington or some of the nearby neighborhoods or even some of the suburbs. So if you have questions or you're even thinking about moving within the Indy Metro, or you're moving from another city to Indianapolis, then make sure that you reach out because we absolutely love it when people do. But reach out any way that you know how because we absolutely have you covered, got your back whenever you're making your move. All right, so like I said, we are in Butler Tarkington today. I'm actually on the campus of Butler University, which is really located kind of right in the heart of the neighborhood. But Butler Tarkington, the neighborhood, is really wedged in here. On the west side and kind of the north, you've got the Central Canal, and then you've also got Westfield Boulevard. And then over to the east, you've got Meridian Street, and then as you go a little bit further to the south, you've got 38th Street, which actually a long time ago used to be called Maple Road. It just had tons and tons of maple trees along there, and still does, a heck of a lot of those, but 38th Street's really changed over the years, and it's a lot more commercial and just a heck of a lot busier. But also on the south, you've got Crown Hill Cemetery, which is a huge cemetery here in Indianapolis, and actually it's a historic place. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, and it's been around a long time. It's the third largest privately owned cemetery in the country. So actually a pretty cool place. I think there's over 25 miles of trails and roads that go back through Crown Hill, but anyway, that's very close to Butler Tarkington. It's actually a place to really go and see. It has the highest point in Marion County within that cemetery as well. So Butler Tarkington, it is kind of wedged in here. Just a little bit to the east, you've got another really famous neighborhood in Indianapolis called Meridian Kessler. So when you come over into Butler Tarkington, you get some of the same feel as what you have there in Meridian Kessler, but given that Butler University is right here in Butler Tarkington, then you do have a little bit of a college or university feel in some parts of it for sure. So this area, it was starting to develop back in the early 1900s. You had people moving out of Indianapolis proper into this area. The area was annexed by Indianapolis in the early 1900s. Just like the neighboring Meridian Kessler and some of the other neighborhoods, streets began to get built by Indianapolis, and that really pushed forward all of the residential properties and the build out. But by the late 1940s or so, around World War II, this whole area, Butler Tarkington, was pretty much built out. So when you go around and take a look at a lot of the homes, they're older for sure. And this video is being filmed in 2020, so we're talking homes that are close to or more than 100 years old. A lot of them were built in the early 1900s all the way into the 20s, 30s, and then of course up to the 40s when it was completely built out. So you'll have a lot of variety here. Now, this particular neighborhood, it has a wide variety of prices as well. You can actually get properties in Butler Tarkington for $100,000 or even a little less, but you are going to need to do some work to those. Those are going to be pretty rough. But when you get into some of the more expensive parts of Butler Tarkington, well, the properties can get pretty high on the price list for sure. So you can get homes that are $5, $6, and up to $1 million and a little bit more, especially as you get a little bit closer to Meridian Street. So with that variety of prices, it's a little less than what you have in neighboring Meridian Kessler or even to the north of Meridian Hills. So the homes are maybe a little less grand, a little smaller, but they're all still very unique. You got to remember that people were coming from Indianapolis, moving into this particular area in the early 1900s. Production building really didn't exist. So these were individuals with some money, and they built a custom home. So from home to home, you see all kinds of different architectural designs, different features. and just a lot of variety and a lot of unique places. So a lot of those unique homes, that's the reason why, or at least one of them, why this place is so popular. The other one, of course, is Butler University, and Butler is part of why Butler Tarkington has its name. But Booth Tarkington, who's a really famous novelist, if you don't know who Booth Tarkington is, you have to look him up. There's actually a theater in Carmel, it's also named after him, a really big place in the Arts and Design District. But Booth Tarkington was born and raised here, so we've got Butler Tarkington for this particular area. But Butler University is definitely a big draw. Now, if you don't know much about Butler University, it's a small university, but very famous here in Indianapolis, of course. It's part of the Big East, and basketball is huge here. They've made so many NCAA appearances and actually several Final Four appearances as well. In 2010, they had the Final Four just down the road at Lucas Oil Stadium, which you can actually just ride your bike to from here. But they lost that year to Duke, I think just by a couple of points. But the point is that people here are basketball crazy. There are tons of Butler fans, and even if they didn't go to the university. Hinkle Fieldhouse is where they play, which is a famous stadium in Indiana. If you've seen the movie Hoosiers, Hinkle Fieldhouse is in that. But it's a very old facility, been around a long time, and just kind of a really cool place to see a basketball game. But outside of Butler University, there's still plenty to do with Butler Tarkington, or very nearby. You've got downtown Indianapolis, which is only roughly 4 miles away, and on the south end, even a little bit less than that. Just to the east, you've got Meridian Kessler and Broad Ripple, which are really cool places, especially Broad Ripple for nightlife and the food scene as well. Meridian Kessler also has a really great food scene, and you can walk from Butler Tarkington on over to Meridian Kessler. Maybe a little bit longer walk to Broad Ripple, but it's definitely doable. Certainly a short bike ride and absolutely a short drive. So there you have it, a little bit about Butler Tarkington and why it's such a popular place and such a cool place to be. And if you have any questions about Butler Tarkington or any of the surrounding neighborhoods or Indianapolis in general, then be sure that you reach out any way that you know how. And until the next one, we'll see you later.